Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Charles Abels, local photographer in and around Prescott Valley, Arizona. I hope you enjoy this presentation. Alright, we're all set up here. I have in front of me three beautiful 35mm film camera. Now, aside from the fact that they're old, there's not really anything significantly historic or historical about either of these three cameras. It's just more of a personal thing. So what I would like to do is want to start out with my first camera, the Leica III. This camera was manufactured in 1936, and the lens, which is a summer 50mm 1.2 f-stop, had been manufactured in 1939. It's a beautiful camera. What attracted me to this camera was the fact that it was Leica III, manufactured in 1936, but it wasn't until I got it and I looked and I found a flaw on the backside on the chrome. At first it bothered me. Well, then when I read the inscription, it reads James Allen Ray, Berlin, 1945. 1945. I was frankly totally thrilled with this because 1945 Berlin, the end of World War II. In 1945 Berlin, May I believe it was, the war had ended. The question is, and as I looked at this camera, that's when I noticed that the tripod is what is 3/8 inch. So this camera was manufactured for the European market. 1/4 inch 20 is for us, the US market. So the question that I posed to myself is, how did James get this camera? Was he a GI officer, GI enlisted? At the end of the war, we know, of course, Germany was totally devastated. And frankly, so was all of Europe. And people were in dire straits. And so I don't wonder, or I think, did he buy this camera from a family that needed the money? I don't know if James used this camera back in the States when he came back. I don't know what the full story is of this camera. This camera could have conceivably been at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. I don't know. But that's what's great about this camera. What stories can this camera tell? Now this camera, outward appearance, looks like a Leica, doesn't it? But you want to know something? It's a Canon IIB. Canon. If I recall rightly, doing this impromptu, if I recall rightly, this camera was manufactured in 1951 when I did my research. And mind you, I'm recalling from memory, it has a beautiful, oh, where is it at? There we are. Serenard f1.9 50mm lens. On the bottom of the base plate, it has a MIOJ, as they call it, or Made in Occupied Japan. Earlier, we talked about Germany and Berlin, but on the other side of the world, we had the Pacific Campaign. But nevertheless, let's face it, like Germany, Japan was devastated, that the economy was very important. So, Canon had come up with variations of cameras. And this camera, this particular camera, was the one, the IIB, Canon IIB, was the one that put Canon back into the photography market. So here We have a pre-war camera, pre-World War II, post-war camera. And then we have the Eastern Bloc camera. This is a Werra I. Now I'm going to have to definitely go back and do the research on this one. But this camera was manufactured in what was once, formerly now, East Germany. But it is such a simple camera. I mean, look at the top. All we see here is just the shutter release. But Eastern Bloc, imagine, manufactured in East Germany, what was once manufactured in East Germany. The Werra company wasn't long lasting. I believe, if I recall rightly, I want to say they were formed in 1955, and they fundamentally went out of business in 1965. This is the first of the line, and of course, I believe, if I recall rightly, there are 5 iterations of the Werra camera. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. At some point, we're going to get into these 3 specific cameras, as well as other cameras, film cameras. And if you like, and you care to follow this channel, please subscribe down below, somewhere down there. Adios.